Hi everyone. So welcome again to the live session. I'm so glad that you all are with us. So today we are having, as I told you yesterday, that we will be having a guest who will be just having a general discussion on the trademarks and on the. She's basically a legal expert, so she's just basically giving a little clarity to the startups. How to choose the right brand name and which is the understanding of the use of the symbol, the black and white logo. We are just trying to cover everything to protect you and grow your brand legally and confidently. So also addressing that this is just a general information that we are sharing now with you, because it varies from business to business, to the field what you are into, to your documentations, to your legalities and all that. But yeah, we are just here to give you a little insight on how this trademark works and all that. So let me welcome Soham today. One second. Hi Soham, welcome to my channel, Sarah Yunus.
Thank you for having me, Sarah.
My pleasure to have you. So I think because it was really worth to have you on my channel, because my channel is for the entrepreneurs, the startups who have just started their journey or want to start their journey. And this points, when it comes to trademark, when it comes to logo, when it comes to branding, it plays a very important role, because this is all the one time which they have to take care of. It's just the beginning, and if in the beginning this is not set properly, then the whole thing just goes off.
Right.
So you will have to starting with, I want to ask that why is it important for any new business or a startup to conduct the trademark search before finalizing the brand name or logo?
Okay. So you see, trademark search is something people often skip. It's something very, very important for most
Yes.
companies and startups. But it's
Hmm.
something overlooked, something that is overlooked, or I'd rather say that, people are not very well aware of what a trademark search is. So you can
Correct.
think of it as a risk assessment exercise. So we do a
Hmm.
trademark search to find out if there's anybody else, claiming rights over an identical mark or a similar mark,
Hmm.
right? So it
Right.
sort of helps us to assess the risk, and accordingly we can devise a strategy for moving forward. So if
Okay.
say you don't do a trademark search and you simply go ahead with the trademark application, and then you see there's somebody already registered with that same name or a similar name, so
Hmm.
of course that is an obstacle for your trademark registration. And if your registration if you don't get the registration, or say your registration is refused, so
Hmm.
it's a waste of your time and money,
Right.
which is why it is always recommended that you do a trademark search. So that gives
Hmm.
you an analysis into what risks you might face, how
Hmm.
you can overcome those. If you're not in a position to overcome those, then maybe your
Hmm.
agent or your attorney can advise you in a certain way to maybe rebrand or to make some changes to your brand name or logo.
Right.
So which is something every startup should do, and that's the first thing you should do, once you finalize your
Absolutely.
brand name.
No, but I am, so I have a confusion. Now, see what happens is sometimes some business we try to start. Now, we really don't know, maybe some start, because see, now this is, we are discussing only about startups. We are not talking about big brands and all that. Of course, big brands definitely will not, but yes, they started the journey as a startup. But when it comes to their, when we say big brands, when they're building up, because they have that kind of capital, or their family background is so strong financially that they will not, go here and there. So for them, it's not an issue, to get into this and, start
Yeah.
it properly, professionally, and all that. But when it comes to the small startups who are just starting everything, like, like it's like a bootstrap. So in
Correct.
that case, do we have some time limit that, after so much time you can apply it or anything like that?
See, there's no time limit because trademark registration is not something mandatory, but it is
Okay.
advisable that you get it done, that you get your trademark registered, and that too as soon as possible. It is
Okay.
something very, I would say, very essential nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Another thing I would like to point out is that you see, people are, like you said, that there are clients who are cost conscious, or maybe startups who are bootstrapped. They
Yes.
can't afford so much. So, let me
Correct.
clear this. Trademark registrations, or, trademark search, these are not very costly things. And at the same
Okay.
time, I would like to point out that, these should be seen as an investment. It is an investment in your brand. It should not be
Right.
seen as expense.
Hmm.
You're investing in your brand because, it is something very long term. So if you're
Right.
investing in a brand today and protecting your brand today, it is going to reap benefits for the future. So it's
Absolutely.
best that companies treat it as an investment in their brand identity and in their reputation and goodwill also, to some extent.
Hmm. Okay. This was actually, I was just going to ask you this question, which you answered, that is trademark expensive?
Again, that really depends from, one entity to another. But yes,
Okay.
compared to other countries, India, Indian trademark registrations are not that expensive. It's
That
pretty reasonable.
expensive. So what gap do they come in pricing wise? Is it like starting from 5,000 to 50,000, or how is it? What is the price gapping?
That really depends. That really depends. It's difficult for me
That really.
to
Hmm.
review the cost that way, because every agent has a separate cost.
Okay.
It's
So every
going to
business depends on the business, depends on the name and everything. All
Yeah,
this
and on the service
criteria.
provider. That's what I'm trying to say. That it depends on the service provider.
Oh, okay.
That depends. It could vary.
Mm-hmm. So, as per you, as a trademark point of view, what are the some key things business should avoid when they are choosing the brand name?
Right. So you see, a lot of times we see businesses try to relate their brand name directly with the industry they are in, or the goods and services that they're providing under that particular brand.
Okay.
Being a trademark attorney, I feel it's very important to have a very unique brand name. That's the most
Okay.
important thing. So it's
Mm-hmm.
not necessary that your brand name should directly, give out the nature of your goods or services. So there are a
Mm-hmm.
few, I would say, to simplify it, I'd say there are some rules under trademark laws. Okay, one of them
Mm.
says that your mark should not be descriptive. So
Okay.
just by looking at your mark, nobody should be able to identify the nature or characteristics of your goods or services.
Okay.
Okay, of course there are exceptions. There are ways to go around it, but
Mm.
uh, firstly, the most important thing is to have a very unique mark. So it's
Okay.
best to choose a brand name which is not already existing. So something that is not already a dictionary word, something that is invented, that would be best. So it's best
Mm-hmm.
to coin your own brand name.
Okay.
Secondly, to not use laudatory or descriptive words. So for example, if you are a noodle brand, okay, you're coming up with a packaged
Yeah.
product, which is you're
Mm-hmm.
selling noodles, and you
Mm-hmm.
call your brand name yummy or tasty. So that is something very descriptive and it's laudatory. So they should
Okay.
avoid using such words, or using words like super or great or best. Every
Okay.
every brand in the industry would think of their products as
Yes.
best or of really good quality. But nobody should be. It's not fair if one entity is given the monopoly to use these words like
Hmm.
best or great.
Yeah.
So it's best to avoid these kind of words. But again,
Mm-hmm.
there are exceptions.
Mm-hmm.
uh, so it depends from one case to another, but it's best to avoid these
Best
kind
to
of
avoid
descriptive.
this.
Yes.
Correct. So in this, even in trademark, there is a possibility of approval and rejection, right?
Correct.
So just you're trying to give us few points that by avoiding this, there are chances of less of the rejection.
Yes. Yes.
So once a name gets rejected, again we can apply immediately, or is there a time frame that we need to apply after?
No, there's no time frame, but yes, you can apply again, but you need to make some modifications to the trademark application, because if it's the same thing that you're applying for again, you basically, it's a waste of time for the registry authorities as well. Okay, they'll say
Right.
that we just rejected it, so why are you coming to me with the same thing again? So
Okay,
there
but
are
they
ways.
can change the name and again they can reapply.
They can reapply with some changes in the application. Maybe you can change the specification of your goods and services or things like that.
Okay, okay. Got it, got it. So basically, can you just give us a brief that that what are the basic documents you require to for a trademark application?
Yeah, sure. So, trademark application usually doesn't require a lot of documentation. We need basic
Okay.
details like, applicant name, applicant address. We need a power of attorney, which is very important. We need
Mm-hmm.
the mark or the logo, which is to be protected, and we need a
Okay.
specification of goods or services which the brand is dealing with. Now,
Mm-hmm.
in some cases, we require some additional documents. So, if the brand is already being used commercially for
Mm-hmm.
a long time, in such cases, there is a provision that we can file the application with a use claim. So, in
Oh.
those cases, we usually ask for some additional documents. So, your agent might ask you for some invoices or some promotional material, some advertisement
Mm-hmm.
material, etc. Otherwise,
Okay.
it's just basic applicant name, applicant address, power of attorney,
Mm.
and the specification of goods and the mark. There's also
Okay.
a myth here, actually. A lot of
Yeah.
times people feel that giving ID proofs to your agents or attorneys is something essential. Some
Hmm.
agents do ask for it, but let me tell you that you don't have to share your IDs with anybody. Okay, you don't
Okay.
require an Aadhaar card or pan card for trademark
Okay.
application.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. That's a great information which you have shared with us, because a lot of things just go in that my lot of things just go in that fear, and many people just think that the legalities are more, and that's the reason they just avoid this. When I
Yes.
came across and when I spoke to a lot of startups, they were telling, I said, why didn't you take a trademark, and why didn't you get for? They're telling it's a very long process and it's a lot of headache and a lot of agents we need to get into, a lot of money is involved in it and all that stuff. So I
That's the
think
mindset currently.
yeah.
Most startups think of it as a very expensive process because they
Yes.
don't know the value of getting a trademark registered. So they need to
Hmm.
understand that it's an investment in your brand.
Right.
And of course,
Can
it
you
is
just
a long
yeah.
procedure. Nowadays, it's taking a lot of time to get the trademark registered. The timelines are very uncertain,
Hmm.
but nevertheless, you should definitely go for it as soon as possible.
So can you just bullet points as some, maybe not all, but at least some bullet points that why and how trademark is important for a business?
Right. So, see, the most important thing here is when you get a trademark registration, you
Hmm.
get a trademark registration certificate. So,
Okay.
that means that you have exclusive right to use that particular trademark. Okay,
Okay.
so it's a prima facie evidence of your registration and of your exclusive rights over that particular brand name or logo.
Okay.
Okay, so firstly, you have that registration certificate, and secondly, you get to enforce your rights better. So if you want to take action against somebody who's maybe infringing upon your rights, or you come across somebody who's copying your brand name or your mark, so you
Hmm.
get to enforce your rights in a better way. You have you have evidence of your registration over that particular mark, so you can easily take action against others.
Okay. Fine. That is the thing. Okay. So like as we're talking about the trademark and all that, and actually the importance of it, so also can we talk the cons, that what can go wrong if a business ignores getting it trademark?
Right, that's a very good question. So, which I think most companies need to know now.
Hmm.
So, see, thing is, if you don't get a trademark registration in time, so say you
Hmm.
already have a brand, okay, and
Yeah.
it's expanding, it's doing well, people know about it, but you don't have a registration for it, you haven't applied for it. Now, there might
Hmm.
be somebody else who wants to take advantage of your goodwill and reputation, right?
Hmm.
So, they might apply before you, and they might get the mark registered even before you do, right?
Okay.
So, of course, now when you go to register your brand, it's going to be a trouble for you because that mark, that registered mark, is going to be an obstacle for your registration.
Hmm.
Okay, so then you need to think of ways to eliminate them from the
Hmm.
trademark register. So that is the most important thing that most companies need to know now.
Okay.
And secondly, so if you don't even use your brand, for example, I've
Hmm.
come across a lot of companies who
Hmm.
have a brand name but they don't use it as much. So people are not aware that this brand belongs to so and so person. Now if somebody else gets a registration before you and then you are not able to prove that you were the prior user of that particular brand name, then again you
Hmm.
lose out on it.
Got
So
it.
this is the most commonly faced problem that we see
That did this thing.
for not
Got
registering your brand on time. Yes.
Usually, in worst cases, what is the time duration that one gets a trademark? done? What is the time limit?
It's very difficult to say. So, trademark registration procedure, it involves a lot of steps. So,
Okay.
I'm not discussing each of them in detail, but if
Yes.
your mark gets opposed, so at a later stage, if a third party opposes your mark, okay, that is when the trademark enters into the opposition phase. Then it takes a lot of time for the hearings to be appointed.
Oh,
It could take 3 to 4 years in those cases. But
okay.
if your mark is not opposed, it won't take 3 to 4 years. But even then, I'd say roughly 1 to 2 years. That is the current scenario. But these
Okay.
timelines vary. It's very, very uncertain.
Now, suppose, for example, if one person has applied for the trademark for his name like XYZ, okay,
Hmm.
will not take any name, we'll just tell it as XYZ. He's already registered for it, and someone else is again registering for that XYZ, so that would be rejected, right?
So it really depends.
Okay.
So first the registry scrutinizes your mark. Okay, and
Hmm.
if the registry feels that there's already somebody with a very high with an identical mark or with a highly similar mark, then they will raise objections to your registration.
Oh,
Okay, so
okay.
when they raise objections, that is when you need to sort of give your arguments and try to overcome those objections. So that is the first step, or the first step of scrutiny by the
Okay.
authorities. But if you've convinced the authorities that your mark is very different from the one which is already registered,
Mm-hmm.
okay, then you're good to go. They will accept your mark. But now the second stage comes. That is the
Mm-hmm.
opposition part. Here, what happens is anybody from the public. So if they feel
Mm-hmm.
that you're copying their mark, or they've already registered for a similar mark, and you are coming, at a much later stage and trying to register your mark,
Mm-hmm.
that is when that third party can oppose you. So that is the second, I would say, check.
You have to do. Okay.
Yes.
So now the symbol R, which we see on many brands, the circle.
Yes, the R
So you
symbol.
mean that, yeah, so that symbol actually means as registered, right? So seeing that,
Correct.
we can make it that this company has been having trademark registration. So when can a business legally start using this?
Can you repeat? I think there was some network issue.
Yeah, sure. As I said, when we see any company's name and when they have that R in the circle, so it means that the name has been registered,
Yes, that
right?
mark stands registered. Yes.
Registered. Okay, so that clarity we all have. But one clarity I want: when can we legally start using this symbol? Immediately, as soon as we get the approvals, or is there any, again on that also, any time frame?
You can start using it as soon as your mark gets registered. So the R symbol essentially means that you are basically telling everybody that, look, my mark is registered.
Registered.
So of
So you
course you
can
get to
immediately
use it
start
only
using it.
once your mark is registered, yes, and not before that. However,
Okay.
you can use the TM symbol before that if you want. So the TM symbol basically means that you're claiming rights over that particular logo or mark, and that you intend to use it as a trademark. So the TM symbol can be used even before you get the registration.
But TM symbol has to be used only when your registration process has started.
You can use it, yes. You can use it anytime, actually.
It's not required that you need to register or you need to apply or
Correct.
anything like that.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, okay. So the TM symbol is something which can be used even if you have not applied for the registration, but
Yes,
the R symbol can be used only when you have got registered your trademark and got an approval on it.
correct. Yes.
So using a TM, what are the benefits?
It's just to basically you tell the public that you're claiming rights over it and that you intend to use it as a trademark, so that somebody might be thinking of that, but of coming up with a similar brand, so they know of your rights. So you
Okay,
can say basically to caution the people and to
got it.
inform them that you are claiming rights over this.
Okay, that's a good point. That gives a little clarity and little, at least a little, what do you say, a little breathing space or breathing time for the entrepreneurs to decide when they want to go for the trademark registration and how they want to go. So till then, they
Yes,
can
but
use the
there are
CM.
there's no fixed legal provision which talks about these things. So
Mhm.
it has to come into practice, but there's no provision which talks about how to use it, when to use it. So there is a gray area on that. But this is what we have by way of practice, this is what we have derived, that, this is how you use the TM mark.
TM mark. Okay, okay. Also, now coming to the logo, what would you recommend? Logo in black and color or black and white. What difference does it make it legally?
Yeah. So what happens is, when you apply for a colored version of a logo,
Mm-hmm.
you get, and once that particular application gets registered,
Mm-hmm.
you get exclusive rights on that logo for
Okay.
that particular combination only.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is only in case of colored versions. Whereas if you
Mm-hmm.
apply for a black and white version of a particular logo,
Mm-hmm.
that will give you exclusive, right, not just on the black and white version, but you can use it
Mm-hmm.
in any color combination that you want. So,
Oh,
a lot
okay.
of times when brands want to play with colors, say, they want to change the color combinations
Yes.
of logos in future.
Mm.
In those cases, we generally ask them to apply for the black and white version. So it is deemed
Okay.
to be protected in all colors. So you can play with colors, and you can claim rights on any color combination in that case.
That's a good point. That's a very, I think that's because nowadays what happens is we make a lot of digital posters because now it's all online. Nothing is
Correct.
offline now. Everything is online. We need to post reels on Instagram. We need to post some banners on Instagram. So the color combination, sometimes our logo is not visible because of that color background. So I
Yes.
think it is a good information that applying for a black and white is always better because then you can play with the colors.
Yes, there are exceptions. Like I said, if there are people who want to claim exclusive rights on that particular color
Yes.
only, and they don't want to change the color combinations in future. So in those
Yeah.
cases, of course, they should go for the colored version only. So,
Hmm. Yeah,
these
because
these
there are some
things
brands they are
depend
very
on one.
particular. I have seen some brands they use only maroon and they don't change anywhere. Even
Yes,
they are ready to
yes,
change the background poster color, but they are not ready to change the logo color.
yes, yes, you're right.
That is one thing. So I think it was a very informative session. But no, so inspired. Apart from the questions which we discussed and all that, what is the one? Not one. What is the advice which you would like to give to our startups, our entrepreneurs who are have started their journey, just beginning of the journey, are going to start their journey? Any piece of advice you want to give them with the pros and cons?
Definitely. So I would, what I'll do is I'll give a few tips.
Yes,
Because we talk to so many people on a daily basis, and we know what problems they face.
correct,
And I would, they have a lot of misconceptions about a lot of things.
correct,
So one thing that I've seen is, the order in which people go about their business. So when somebody's starting their business, a lot of times, in fact, most people, that's what they do is they first
hmm.
think of a brand name, then they think of a trade name or the company name.
Mm-hmm.
Then they go to register the company. Then they
Mm-hmm.
they purchase domain names based on that particular brand name or the company name. And
Mm-hmm.
then at a very, at a much later stage, they, want to go for a trademark registration. So
Okay.
I feel that's a very, wrong order to follow.
Hmm.
So the moment you think of a brand name, the moment you finalized your brand name or logo, I feel that's the best time to, go ahead and start the trademark registration procedure.
Okay.
So if you've thought of a brand name today and you finalized it, it's best to go for a trademark search and go ahead with the trademark registration process as soon as possible.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So otherwise, what happens is, a lot of people, what they do, they buy the domain names, they register the
Yes.
company, they start using the brand name, and later on, when they do a trademark search, they find out that there's already somebody who's registered with that same brand name.
Got it.
So now you see, at this stage, they have to rebrand, which is a very, very costly procedure.
Right.
This is something not many people know, and on a regular basis, we come across clients doing this. So
Hmm.
that's a very wrong way to go about your,
Go about
brand.
it.
Yes. Some tips I'd like to
Yeah.
definitely give.
Hmm.
Uh, Firstly, like we mentioned that trademark search is something that should not be skipped. So I would say, you should not shy away from that investment.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely always go for a trademark search before you file a trademark application.
Okay.
Secondly, do go for a very unique mark. Try to avoid generic or common terms.
Okay.
Thirdly, I would like to point out, people often forget to renew the trademark registration. So they have the trademark registered and they feel they're done with it, but it needs to be renewed every 10 years, which they often
Every
forget and then lose out on it. So they again have to
every
apply.
what period it has to be renewed?
It has to be renewed.
10 years. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Another
Got
thing,
it.
like we discussed, to go for a black and white version of a logo if they're not claiming rights on a particular color combination. Another thing is to always file, legally, that's what we advise, is go for separate trademark applications for separate classes. So classes are basically, categories of your products or services. So when you're applying for a trademark, you're essentially applying in a particular class, which means you're applying for a particular category of goods or services. So there could be multiple classes in which you're applying. So it's always best to file separate trademark applications for separate classes.
Okay, got it.
Yes. So I think these are some things that every startup, every company should keep in mind.
Keep in mind, yeah. Now, see what happens. One more point came to my mind when we were just talking on this. When I was hearing your tips and all that, what happens is many companies, startups, and all that, after a period of time, for whatsoever reasons, they sell their place as a goodwill.
Yes.
Okay. Now, the same way, can a trademark, now suppose someone has opened this XYZ company, has got the trademark registration, everything, and for some reason he or she is not able to continue the company. So even this trademark registered companies are sold?
Yes, they can be sold.
They can be sold.
Yes.
Okay. So in any case, when they are making an investment, it doesn't go into waste if they are not continuing the company, because many people have a doubt. They told me that, Sarah, the reason why we are not registering, because we don't know that whether we are going to continue with this company, or whether we'll not reach to that level, or something, any reason it can be.
Right.
So it just becomes a dead investment for us. So I think for them, they got a clarity that it's not a dead investment. They can just sell the trademark and make something out of it, at least whatever expense they have done in acquiring that trademark.
Right. So I'd actually like to point out a particular IP strategy that most people should follow. Since you mentioned this point,
yes.
So the first thing that that a company or a brand should do from the brand or IP point of view is to identify the intellectual property rights they have.
Okay.
The first step is to identify what IP assets you have. Okay? Secondly, what you should do is you should protect those IP rights. Okay, go for a trademark application or go for a copyright application, whatever. Okay. Third is to enforce it. So once you have a trademark registration, it's not wise to just sit on it, right? You have a trademark registration, now you need to keep an eye on infringers or any copycats. So the moment you see somebody is trying to infringe upon your rights, or somebody is trying to copy your mark, or just maybe unknowingly using something very similar to your mark, you need to enforce your rights. You need to take action against them, and in right time. So that's the third point. And the fourth point is what you had mentioned, is to commercialize your brand name, or to maximize the revenues. So this is where the licensing and assignment part comes in. So if you want to license it, if you want to give somebody else the rights to use your mark for anything, you can do that and you can earn from it. Or if you want to completely assign your rights, you want to sell your mark, of course, like you said, if somebody doesn't want to continue with that particular brand name, or they're stopping, they completely want to stop that particular business, you can always sell that brand name to somebody else. And that's how you are also commercializing the brand name.
Correct. So I think we had a lot of good clarity on trademark. They were, I think we have tried to cover a lot of things which people have doubt in their mind, based on trademark. One is, and also when you were mentioning that trademark search. So even that also cost you, right? To just do a trademark search.
Yes, legal professionals mostly do charge you for a search. So this is another myth. People think that conducting a trademark search is a 2-minute job, which it's not. So it could take even hours to conduct a trademark search.
Oh, okay.
But unfortunately, people think it's just a 2-minute job. So there are people who will come and ask you to just do it for free. There could be people who do it without any charges, but legal professionals mostly do charge you because they're putting in a lot of effort and time for that particular search.
It's not as easy like how you're searching for a domain name, whether this
Of course
domain is.
not. Yes, of course not.
Because in today's date, when we want to buy a domain, we get an option on the websites, search for this domain available or not. .co is not available. .in is available or
Yes,
.com. So I think this also one myth is being cleared with people that the reason why legal advisors charge for this is because it's a task. It's not
correct.
just. So when they do the
Because it's a total risk assessment you're doing of for that particular name.
mhm,
Even if somebody hasn't applied for a particular mark, they could still be
mhm,
using somewhere on the internet. So you need to
correct,
even even those things come into play when you're giving that search advice to your client.
correct.
So a lot of other things have to be seen before
Mm,
you give that final advice to your client whether your trademark is eligible for trademark
eligible.
registration.
Yeah, that is important.
Yes.
Now, when you tell this trademark search, so it includes the trade of the name also and the logo also. This both will be searched together.
No, there are different ways to do it. For
Mm-hmm.
brand names, there is a particular way to do a search. But if there's a logo, like if you have anything apart from just plain simple letters, any
Mm,
artistic element is involved in your logo or in your device mark, then there's a
mm.
separate, it's a different kind of search that we need to do.
Okay. So
Yeah.
depending on the so you can registering that logo is a separate trademark registration. Registering the name is a separate trademark registration, or is it combined?
you can you can do both. So that is where the expert opinion comes in. So when a client comes in and tells us about the brand name, the logos, we first have a look at it, and then we're in a position to advise them better as to how many trademark applications they should file and what are the
Mm.
different elements that they should protect separately. So if you
Oh,
want, you can have a logo, and just below the logo you can write the brand name, and that entire thing as a whole you can file one single application, but that
okay.
will give you rights over that thing as a whole, but not
Then you
on
cannot
the
use that
element
separately.
not on this
Mm.
element separately. Yes. So
Okay.
most of the times we go for different trademark applications. So one for the brand name, which is the word mark, and one for the logo. Also, I'd like
Okay.
to point out, since we're already talking on this, uh,
Yes.
so people feel that only the brand name, only the logo is supposed to be applied for trademark
Yeah.
registration. But ideally they should protect each and every element of it. So they should go for the brand name registration as well. They should go for the logo registration as well. They can
Mm.
also protect the trade name. So if you have a unique company name, say XYZ Private Limited, which is not your brand name, it's a separate company name. So that
Mm-hmm.
XYZ, if it's something unique and if it's, of course, the attorney will be able to advise you whether it is eligible for trademark or not. But even
Okay.
that can be protected, and it should be protected because that is
Mm.
also your trade name. That is also used to identify you and your goods and services. So
Mm.
it's very important that you also protect that. This
Okay.
is not something not many people know or do in practice.
Yes, correct. They only more focused. My logo should get the trade. And, basically, it's more of that style. My logo has got that R.
Correct.
They actually don't know the main reasons of having this are actually the way they should have it. We can say it that way. That why they should have it and what is the right way of having it. I think that knowledge is lacking.
Correct.
So that knowledge is where I think today's session would have given them a very good clarity on the trademarks, how to navigate them in a business as a brand or a
I,
brand owner.
yeah.
A lot of clarity you have given. So I a big thank you to you, Soham, for sharing such practical and insightful knowledge with us. It's always
Thank-
great to learn from experts who truly understand the legal landscape. Of course, yes, we are not discussing here with any particular business, brand, product, service. In general, we are talking. This might vary from the person
yes, from
what,
one matter.
yeah, one or the other, because depending on their business, depending on the legalities they are having or they are connected with. But as a general, we have got it's basically today we can say the discussion is like with a general physician, and then the physician tells us whether you need to go to a gynecologist, whether you need to go to an orthopedic, or whether you need to go to an endocrinologist. So that's what we have done
My
today.
field is actually a very specialized field. So I
Mhm.
am a trademark attorney, so this itself in itself is a very specialized field. But of course, all the things that we discuss, these are general IP insights or tips,
Yes.
but it's not to be seen as a fixed legal advice, because again, the advice really differs from one case to another.
Correct.
So it
Absolutely.
depends on a case-to-case basis.
Great. So any last piece of advice or any last words would you like to share with our viewers before leaving us?
No, I think I've pointed out all the important tips for the startups. So I really hope more and more startups, see these kind of, podcasts or these kind of videos, and I hope that this
Correct.
reaches a lot of people, and they get to learn something from it,
Yes.
and so they can, navigate on the brand protection in a much more smooth way.
Correct. Absolutely. So thank you once again, Soham, for joining us. It was really wonderful to have you with us and
Thank
giving us your time, sharing these insights.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to share my insights with your audience.
I should say my pleasure to have you, because I always wanted my viewers to, get know about more of the startup journeys, and people like you who are supporting me, coming on my channel, giving this information, giving these insights. It's really helpful and it's really encouraging for the startups to, build their brands, to grow them properly and all that. So we as a team are trying to help them grow.
Yes, I think that's a very good job you're doing.
Thanks.
By having people from different industries, different fields, and they get to share their insights, and I hope
Yes.
that people really gain a lot from this.
Absolutely. Thank you once again. You
Thank you so much,
have a
Sarah.
great day and wish you the success in your work.
Thank you.
Yeah. So it was a wonderful session with Soham. So if you found this helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more valuable sessions. And of course, if you have any follow-up questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. We will do our best to get them answered. And if you want to be my guest on my channel, please do connect with me. My contact details are there in the description. You can also visit me on my Instagram, name as Sarah Yunus. I will also share my link in the description for that. Until then, next time, stay curious, stay informed, and keep building your dream brand the smart and the legal way. Thank you so much for joining us.